What's going on, you guys? It's Royce Jacob. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Trading Week Recap, series I try to post every Friday. We reflect on the past week in the markets. I'll let you guys know what I thought, a few highlights from the course of the week and we'll just talk shop. I'll let you guys know what I'm currently thinking about the general equity markets, and we'll talk about a few stocks that I'm personally excited about right now as well. So, as always, we'll go over each topic that we're going to be discussing, and then we'll dive into each one individually. The usual, we'll kick it off with the good old SPY S&P 500 chart. Good way to sum the general equity markets. We did end up closing the day green. It was a pretty wild day in the markets today, but that's to be expected right now, especially on a Friday. So we will kick it off with that. We're not only going to talk about today, we'll look at the weekly. We'll zoom out on the charts a little bit. I want to give you guys kind of my macro perspective on this chart and talk about kind of the macroeconomic environment right now and how I believe that relates to the markets, okay? So we'll kick it off with that. This kind of flows into that macroeconomic backdrop I was talking about, but Apple absolutely blew out earnings. A lot of big tech did. The big four announced the other day, and they definitely impressed. So we will talk about that. I'm choosing Apple because I think it's the best single company to kind of sum up those earnings calls. So we'll talk about Apple. I then want to show you guys this chart that I think is very important, and it talks about the macroeconomic backdrop and how that relates to the market. So I'll explain that a little further when we get to it. And then I want to talk about arguably the hottest stock of the week. I think this is wild, definitely a wild stock, definitely saw some crazy price action this week. So we will talk about Kodak. I'm sure all of you are familiar with this story already, but I want to talk to you guys about it and just let you guys know what I think about this. Okay, so wild times, talk about Kodak. We'll look at a few articles on Kodak, not too long, try to keep them brief. And then we'll kind of marry this last article with Bitcoin and Kodak. And I want to talk to you guys a little bit about Bitcoin because Bitcoin's been doing super well. And I do want to talk to you guys about where I see Bitcoin going in the near future as well. Okay, so before we do get into this, I will ask you guys to please give the video a like if you do go on to gain value from it, or if you are invested in any of the stocks that we're going to be talking about today. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Check out my complete portfolio daily newsletter. First link in the description if you're interested. All right, so we are looking at the SPY again on a 5-minute chart. This is just today, so this is the beginning of the day. We did gap up pre-market again. Following those big earnings yesterday, it's not surprising to me that we saw this big gap up. Over the course of the morning, over the course of the day, though, wherever you may be in the world, we did see it pull back pretty significantly. Okay, so when I started trading, I usually don't start trading until pretty later. So I start trading around like 6 a.m. Hawaii time. So it's about noon Eastern time. All right. So I didn't start trading until around this area over here, and the market was pretty red at that point. Okay. So that also wasn't surprising to me considering it is a Friday, and because it's a Friday, you guys, if you haven't been trading for a long time, for any of you who have though, you know that Fridays are always more volatile because a lot of traders don't want to hold their positions over the weekend. Obviously, a lot more your positions are susceptible to news, good news, bad news. And it is risky to hold positions over the weekend, especially if you're a day trader, okay? And that's not what day traders do. You don't hold positions over the weekend. So it's not surprising to me, especially, again, following yesterday's earnings, to see this volatility in the charts. And, we closed the day green. We closed out higher than we opened. And you see this crazy. It's crazy to see this surge in volume right here. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if this is some higher ups, if this is something that has to do with money printing and the Fed, kind of just eating up a lot of assets, because that's what this looks like to me. When you see a move up like this, that's some whales establishing some positions. So I wouldn't be surprised. Again, we had that meeting, the FOMC meeting earlier this week, where pretty much the Fed decides that they're going to keep printing money and buying stocks and bonds and all that good stuff. So they announced that they were going to keep doing that, and I feel like that's probably what we're seeing right here. I don't think this is organic. I do think this is due to the trillions of dollars that are being printed right now. All right, so let's zoom out a little bit. We'll go to the 5-day here, 5-day. So the market was up. The market is up definitely on the week. It was a very volatile week, obviously, with those big earnings. There was a lot of uncertainty surrounding this week. But again, Apple did end up impressing, which we're about to get into. Let's look at the year to date now, and I'll give you guys my thoughts right now. Okay, so again, we're in this huge relief rally right here, whatever you guys want to call it, relief rally or not. But the SPY is pretty much at all-time highs. Again, you guys, the Nasdaq a couple weeks back, it's probably at all-time highs right now. I haven't looked at the Nasdaq in a while. I do primarily follow the S&P. That's what I use personally to gauge equity indexes. So, we're pretty much, the SPY itself is pretty much at all-time highs right now. I don't doubt that next week we will probably go up and retest that high that we set at the beginning of this year prior to that crash. Considering we did just today, I mean, we've kind of set a double top at this point. We're just about in line with where we were at the beginning of this week. So we will have to see if we either, I don't think, because this was kind of a double top right here, and that's usually not a good sign, but it looks like this wants to break out. I mean, this is just like, if you look at this chart right here, that is that's a very evident uptrend, and it's a pretty strong uptrend at that. Okay, so it is bouncing off the moving averages, which makes perfect sense, especially in an equity index where it's a bunch of stocks combined. So if it looks good to me, but I'm hesitant. I'm hesitant on the markets. If you guys have been following the channel, you would know that I am hesitant on the well-being and the status of the equity markets currently. So I want to talk to you guys about Apple earnings. Then again, I want to show you guys this chart that will kind of further that point. Okay, so let's cover Apple earnings first though. Apple posts blowout third quarter with sales up 11% despite coronavirus disruptions. I'll just read the key points, you guys. The blowout quarter comes during a period in which Apple saw its operations disrupted by the coronavirus pandemic, including store closures. Apple's business is highly seasonal, and its revenue is the highest the company has ever reported in its third quarter, up 11% year over year. The company declined to issue guidance for the second quarter in a row, but Apple CFO Luca Maestri, sorry about that if I pronounced that wrong, said on a call with analysts that the company expects iPhone supply in the fall to be delayed for a few weeks. Okay, so Apple did impress in earnings, 11%, right? Year over year, 11%. That's amazing. So I want to show you guys Apple real quick. So we'll go down to Apple, and Apple is. So I did a stock talk on Apple a few days ago, and it is just about dancing on this upper trend line, and it actually has closed above this trend line. Okay, again, trend lines, you can move them around a little bit. Like I could just go like that, and it's technically like just right at the trend line, but point is it did close right at this upper line of resistance. So we'll have to see how Monday plays out. But you guys, I think, like, look at Apple on a year. We'll go back a year. Look how significantly up Apple is. So a year ago, we were at about $200. You know what? Let's just scroll down because we can see the exact. So 1 year, up 108%. So Apple's year over year, the earnings they just posted was up 11%. But the stock is up 110%, okay? And that's in this economy. The economy sucks right now. That is not in the question. The jobs suck. No, like, the CARES Act just ended. People aren't getting their $600. They just announced today the lawmakers, those in power who are making the decisions, haven't come to a conclusion on what they're going to do, which is crazy how they're just so incapable. But, I mean, this is bad. And there's so many other things that you have to take into account too, okay? So Apple, I love Apple. I'm using literally every tech product I've used for years now has been Apple. Like, I'm an Apple fanboy. But Apple stock is, like, it's so not even not a question in my mind is if it's overvalued or not. And again, overvalued is becoming a relative term and a subjective term. The word overvalued is almost like, I shouldn't even use that. It's just wild to see how high it is, and I don't think that value is warranted right now, okay? Again, a lot of story stocks, a lot of new retail traders, government printing trillions. It makes sense why the stock is high and why people choose Apple over many other companies to put their money into. But it's like, you guys have to think, just the supply chain issue. Imagine, Apple, you know how much of their product gets made in China? It's almost all of it. The far majority of their product, of the chips, of every aspect of the phones, of every piece of electronic equipment that they manufacture is offshore. And we're facing a lot of uncertainty around trade and just offshore manufacturing, supply chain issues. And if Apple does have to start manufacturing, not in China, in places that are more expensive to manufacture, one of two things happens. The first is that the price of the products goes up, and people, once the government either has to stop printing money or prints money to a point to where it becomes inflationary and the dollar becomes devalued, are either going to Apple's going to either increase prices and make it unaffordable for the average people who don't have jobs right now, which is a lot of them, and who start to run out of money as the government stops siphoning money into our economy, are not going to be able to afford it. Or, I mean, that's what I think is going to happen. They're going to have to either raise price points, or they keep the price points the same, and their margins become smaller. Okay, so they either keep the price points the same, things become more costly to manufacture, and their profits go down because the margin is smaller, or again, they boost the price points and people just can't afford them, which in turn probably drives to lower sales. Okay, so Apple is a crazy buy right now in my mind. I definitely would not buy Apple right now. Let's take a look at the market cap. So 1.85 trillion dollar market cap. It's almost at $2 trillion freaking dollars. That's insane. Apple was at like $800 trillion dollars just at the beginning of the, or no, sorry. Yeah, like just at the beginning of the year, around here. Not quite, but you guys get the deal. Like year over year, they're up 100%. They've over doubled in a year's time, while sales are only up 11%. That's why I don't think the move up is justified. I can't, in my mind, justify it. Obviously, the market is the market. The market dictates what happens. I'm not in control of that. I think it's crazy. But again, the market's the market, you guys. This is capitalism right here, in a sense. It's kind of inflated capitalism, but still capitalism at that. All right, so I do want to show you guys this though. All right, so this is a very important chart. I have shown you guys this before. If you guys remember, it was a while back. So this is for anyone newer. Very important chart, you guys. This is the S&P forward PE ratio. Okay, so this tracks the SPY in terms of PE ratio. Okay, so price to earnings ratio. It's a classic. It's not being used too much today, just because story stocks and wild markets, shiny object markets rule our current ecosystem. So again, PE doesn't mean much, but it does to me, and it does just factually over time. Historically, it means a lot. All right, so historical PE is around 15. Okay, and when you look at this chart of the SPY, we're actually at absolute all-time highs. Okay, when it comes to price to earnings, you guys, like if you look at the regular chart of the SPY, so let's go back here and look at the regular chart of the SPY. You can see here we're below. Again, we're not yet at the highs, at least on the SPY, that we were at the beginning of the year. But here, you see that the SPY is way beyond the all-time highs, okay? And that's relative to its price to earnings. So this shows that the SPY, the S&P 500, which Apple, Microsoft, Google, they are a part of the SPY, is overvalued in relative to price to earnings. Okay, so this is just important because this shows inflation within our economy. A lot of people are saying we're printing trillions. I'm not seeing any inflation. I'm not seeing things getting more expensive, but it's happening in the markets, right? Things are becoming more expensive relative to value. All right, and that's what's happening in the markets. If you look at this, like this is fair value. This is tracking the SPY from what, again, PE, what is not technically, but historically fair value, and it's at all-time highs in a terrible economy, you guys. And again, I don't want to this is sounding very pessimistic. I am optimistic long run, but I just think that this current price action is unsustainable. I think global supply chain issues surrounding a lot of, especially Apple, whose primary product base is physical goods, will definitely be disrupted by supply chains. Again, Amazon is a little safer in my mind, although Amazon's still crazy valued right now. Google is seeing a little bit of pullback. Facebook makes more sense because they're more SaaS and ad businesses. Google and Facebook make more sense to weather kind of a supply chain global supply chain trade issues. But Apple, you guys, I'm just worried about Apple right now. So please proceed with caution if you're thinking about buying Apple. And again, think about the entire market in regard to fair value, PE ratio, historical. I know, PE ratio is kind of just been thrown out the window in this relief rally, in this dead cat bounce, whatever. But it's important, and it will be important, and whoever thinks it's not going to be important and just is completely faded away is going to be wrong eventually. Okay, so that said, let's move on to Kodak. A little funner of a story. So Kodak surges 34% after skyrocketing 1,200% in 2 days. Kodak share price jumped as much as 34% on Thursday as trader continued to clear its $765 million government loan to make drug ingredients in response to the pandemic. All right, so if you guys aren't familiar, again, the Trump administration granted Kodak, Eastman Kodak, who is, everyone knows this is the best possible way you could have allocated that capital, is to give it to Kodak, all right? Instead of Pfizer, or a large, far more competent drug company to manufacture chemicals, they gave it to Kodak. All right, the camera company's stock skyrocketed about 1,200% in 2 days this week, boosting its market cap to $2.6 billion from under $150 million. The breathless rally on Wednesday caused the New York Stock Exchange to halt trading 20 times. So Kodak is kind of the new Hertz in this sense. Robintrack data indicates that Robinhood Traders are snapping up Kodak. The number of accounts holding the stock soared to more than 119,000 on Wednesday from under 10,000 on Monday. So again, Hertz, this exact same thing happened to Hertz. This is a terrible company. Again, they did get granted the $765 million, but I do want to move to this shady bit of practice that is not surprising to me at all, especially in this current just corrupt kind of economy ecosystem that we're in right now. We will take a look at Kodak's chart. I'll bring it up right now, but I do want to touch one more time on, look at that chart. It's so wild. That looks stupid. Okay, so let's actually go to at least the hourly to make it a little more digestible. Okay. So we'll look at the chart again. I want to cover this first. So Kodak CEO got stock options day before new loan sent stock soaring. You guys, there's 100%. It's inevitable in my mind that we're going to see a case. Like Kodak's going to catch a case. This guy's going to catch a case. Almost 100%. Like there's going to be lawsuits. There's going to be investor. Like there's going to be so many issues around this. This is so wild that this happened. Okay, so the stock options suddenly were worth about $50 million, the latest instance of extraordinary good timing by corporate executives. Okay, so New York Times did put that. I mean, good timing. They know the deal. At the beginning of the week, the Eastman Kodak company handed its chief executive $1.75 million stock options. It was a type of compensation decision that generally wouldn't attract much notice, except for one thing. The day after the stock options were granted, the White House announced that the company would receive a $765 million federal loan to produce ingredients to make pharmaceuticals in the United States. Again, I know Kodak, so Eastman was initially a chemical company. So it does make sense they have they have a lot of the infrastructure built out to potentially manufacture some of these chemicals. This is a cool story, but if this didn't happen, I'd be like stoked for Kodak. But because this happened with the CEO, and this is obviously shady practice now, is like it's so whack. Okay, so Kodak is whack. The day after the stock options were granted, the White House announced the company would receive, sorry, I can't remember if I read this or not, but I'll just cover it again, $765 million federal loan to produce ingredients. I did, sorry about that. The news of the deal caused Kodak stocks to soar more than 1,000%. Within 48 hours of the options grants, their value had ballooned, at least on paper, to about $15 million. The government loan is part of a broader effort to increase the country's ability to respond to the coronavirus and future pandemics. Okay, so I know Kodak, again, this $700 plus million grant was given to Kodak because they want to bring, at least Trump, this is what allegedly is the case, they want to bring manufacturing of these chemicals onshore. We do rely on China, India, so many other offshore cheaper places. Again, supply chains. It's cheaper to manufacture them offshore, and that's why we do that, because that's just good business. Okay, but again, because there is so much shade around global trade right now, they do want to bring manufacturing of these chemicals, especially pharmaceuticals, onshore. So that makes sense. But it just makes me think, like, if this CEO, this is so obviously insider, just shady trading. If this CEO just got granted that many stock options prior to the deal being announced, they obviously knew, like, this is so obvious. So obvious. And imagine how many of other, like, Trump's boys, like, imagine how many of these higher ups, just people who were in on this, so many people knew about this. I remember seeing a stat about how much volume was going on in options trading the day prior to the announcement, when no one knew about it. But options, again, you buy those because you know something's going to happen. That's the best possible way to invest in when you know news is going to be released, is buying futures, okay? And that's what happened. Imagine how many of this guy's boys and Trump's boys, higher ups, just a bunch of suits, knew about this and capitalized on the moment, and it pisses me off. But that's what Bitcoin's for, in a sense. Again, you guys, I'm not at all anarchistic, actually. But again, you guys, it's just things like this. These guys capitalizing on markets that they know are manipulated, on these kids, on these Robinhood traders. Again, you saw these Robinhood numbers, like 100 plus Robinhood traders bought Kodak. The stock crashed today, so it pulled back. Like, it got cut in half from a high of what, $60. It's now trading at $22. It was over cut in half, and a whole bunch of little Robinhood traders who thought they were getting in on a sick company just got wiped out. And it pisses me off that these guys are playing a part in that, and they're just manipulating a market that they know is easily manipulatable. Okay, so let's move on to Bitcoin, and I want to talk about Bitcoin. You know what? No, let's talk about Kodak real quick. You guys, I'm not touching Kodak personally. It would be like, from a technical perspective, you could say that it is bouncing right where it gapped up here. It did kind of bounce off that area, give or take a little bit. But I think that we'll probably see a second wave at some point. So, I mean, if you want to buy some super high risk call options, like I'm not doing this. Maybe I'll buy like one or something, drop a couple hundred on a bet. But if you want to buy some super high risk call options, it might pay off, just because I wouldn't be surprised. Again, you guys, two wave theory. If you've been around, I have the two wave theory. You see the wave up, bubble, obviously bubble pops. You see some capitulation. I wouldn't be surprised to see this go sideways for a little bit and then see another wave up, potentially even higher than this one, depending on news. You guys remember news plays a big role, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a second wave up in Kodak at some point in the near future. But again, I'm personally at least not likely going to touch it. All right, so let's move on to Robinhood FOMO potential. Bitcoin pulling a Kodak means six figures. If Bitcoin sees similar FOMO rallies to Kodak in recent days, BTC price could quickly soar to six figures, some analysts have previously expected. All right, so this, again, I'm not going to go too deep into this article. This is just another reason on top of so many other fundamental reasons that I'm bullish on Bitcoin right now. So let's go to Bitcoin. Let's check out Bitcoin. And then, you guys, I do want to talk about Sorrento as well. So Sorrento and Moderna I do want to talk about too, and just kind of go over that sector as well. But I do want to talk about this because Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, some of my favorite plays within this sector. What the heck? Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry, I forgot I drew this Fibonacci. Okay, so Fibonacci fan, this looks pretty cool right here. I'll show you guys this. So this is a Fibonacci fan. If you guys aren't familiar with the Fibonacci sequence, it's kind of just like about as natural mathematical as a pattern as you can get. You guys look up the Fibonacci. I'm not going to be able to articulate it correctly right now. I'm going to make myself sound stupid. But Fibonacci, like so many things in nature, follow a Fibonacci sequence or Fibonacci pattern, and markets do as well. Again, you guys, everything is, I don't want to get woo-woo here, but you guys like get the point. Like everything is connected in a sense. And again, that sounds pretty woo-woo, but I hope you guys get what I'm saying. That's the reason Fibonacci's work in markets, is because markets are pretty much just psychology. When you're looking at charts, that's the primary reason. That's what I view charts as. It's a psychological tool. It's to see how markets have acted historically during certain times, during certain price action events, and using that to your advantage, because you see how like FOMO cycles work, how bubbles work, how psychology revolves around certain price action. Okay, and that's what I see charts as. That's the importance that I view in charts, personally at least. Obviously, you can get technical and indicators and stuff, but I view charts as like almost putting the psychology of the markets on paper, on a chart. All right, so Fibonacci sequence, again, you guys, I don't have the pattern drawn anymore here, but Bitcoin, if you haven't caught any of my recent videos, did just recently break a multi-year downtrend. That is why we've seen this price action. It's gone from 10,000 to a high of, it's almost at highs right now. So let's actually zoom in here. Let's go to the month here. So just in the past, let's make that a lot more digestible. So yeah, just in the past week or so, it kicked off earlier this week, was at 9,200, is now at 11.4K. So we're seeing about a 20% jump, 20% jump in Bitcoin. That's amazing. Ether is up super significantly. We'll look at Ether. Oh man, you guys, like beginning of this week was at 240. It's now up over $100 from that point. So Ether seeing amazing gains. They did just launch ETH 2.0. Chainlink is a project I'm super excited about. But regardless, you guys, Bitcoin, if you're not familiar with this space, I'm sorry, but Bitcoin is, in my mind, serves such a good purpose with this current macroeconomic backdrop. Again, with these day traders who want something, who are learning about the financial markets and being educated financially, want to put their money in something that will retain value, that obviously has the potential to increase value too. We know Bitcoin can do that. We've seen it rally from, Bitcoin 10 years ago was worth 5 cents. It's now holding $10,000 plus. All right. So Bitcoin, best performing asset class factually ever in history, pretty much. And like with the government printing trillions of dollars, Bitcoin is a hard money asset. All right. So there's 18 million Bitcoin right now in circulation. There will only ever be 21 million as long as humans exist, and probably less than that because a lot have gotten lost. So we're probably closer to like 18 million will only ever exist in history that can actually be traded. That's not enough for every single millionaire on earth right now to own one Bitcoin. And if we all know something about billionaires, they all want what they can't have, or millionaires, people want what they can't have. And people want a scarce asset. Bitcoin is absolutely scarce. It's digital. It can be it's more efficient gold. That's how I like to describe Bitcoin. Is a way more efficient gold. It's gold 2.0. It's a proven scarce asset. It takes resources and energy to mine and accumulate. And in a world where the US dollar, I will talk about this tomorrow on the Waves Weekly, where the US dollar has just seen its like worst week in a long time. And the economy sucks, you guys, and people traders. There's so many new traders who want exposure to assets that are revolutionary, especially, you guys. That's why like Tesla, Apple, stocks that are innovational, revolutionary companies are doing so well, is because they're changing the world for the better, and investors perceive it that way and want a piece of that. And when they realize that Bitcoin, which isn't a company, it's just an asset, it's like gold, it's a scarce digital asset. When a lot of people realize, when these newer traders realize the true importance, the financial importance of Bitcoin and the role it'll play in our future financial system and economy, then I think Bitcoin, fundamentally, I'm so bullish on Bitcoin right now. And technically, again, they did break a multi-year downtrend, and I do think that we can see Bitcoin rally further. Okay, so that's Bitcoin, you guys. Sorry to rant about Bitcoin. I will probably talk about it more tomorrow on the Waves Weekly, but I do want to finish off this video by talking about Sorrento, which just had a crazy day today. So we'll take a look at a Sorrento. We'll take a quick look at Moderna as well, because I want to talk to you guys about how undervalued I think Moderna is. And there's actually a few plays, you guys. I'm going to hold this off for Sunday. Riot in Mara, which is Marathon Patent Group. I will make a video. This is probably my #1 stock to watch next week, and I'll also make a video individually about it, likely on Monday. But up 14% today. This is a microcap stock. It's like $30 million market cap. I love those things. You guys know that because they give the potential for exponential gains. So Marathon Patent Group, similar to Riot, they're a Bitcoin mining company. And again, you guys, with Bitcoin doing well, these Bitcoin mining companies, it only makes sense that they do well as well. All right, so up 14% today, Marathon Patent Group, up 35% after hours. Let's see if that translates next week. But you guys, super exciting times for this. I recommend you guys keep an eye on this. And you guys deserve to hear this if you've stuck around the video for this long. So thank you if you have. But I will talk about that more, trust me, on Sunday and Monday. But I do want to talk about Sorrento and Moderna just to wrap this video up. Where the heck are they? So we're seeing a lot of red across the board today. So yeah, Sorrento finished the day up 4%, which is wild. So if you guys caught the video I posted on Sorrento, I mean, actually this morning I ended up posting. So I recorded it yesterday. I scheduled it to post this morning. I straight up called it. I feel like freaking Nostradamus, you guys. That's obviously like, the reason I made that video and said it would happen is because I believed it would happen. Obviously, there's some luck here involved, but I'm personally surprised it played out as fast as it did. So Sorrento straight up did come up and test the $10 area, like almost right at this line where I expected it to. And not quite, but almost there. You guys, pretty close. Cut me some slack there. But over the course of the day, it straight corrected. So it was up like 22% upon market open, but ended the day up 4%. It's up a few percent after hours, I believe. I can't see the after hours right now, but I think it's up 2 or 3% after hours. But you guys, situations like this are such amazing buying opportunities in my mind. When you see a stock gap up 20+% and then corrects over the course of the day, like, I personally added to my position down here, like this in my mind is a beautiful position, or a beautiful place to add to your position if you're bullish on the stock fundamentally, like I am with Sorrento. Technicals still look great. You just get it at a discount. You know the volume's there. You like look at that spike in volume right there. That's awesome. Again, it did sell off, but it makes sense. It's a Friday. There's some people probably just taking profits, some weekends in here, but I definitely believe that we will see Sorrento make another move up. It's getting on people's radars. People are understanding the name. People are understanding that it has the potential to grow. And again, I do believe that in the future in the near future, that is, we will see a $14 Sorrento. So I'm very bullish on that. That's for sure a stock to watch next week that I'll talk more about as well on Sunday. Let's kick it off let's end it just kind of going down this line here. So Moderna is so undervalued right now in my mind. Like, it's crazy to see Moderna not doing well. Just like, I think Fauci just came out the other day talking about how bullish he is on the prospects of Moderna's vaccine. And like, it has like a 90+%. Oh, shoot. I wish I had the stats here. Sorry. I'll talk about that on Sunday. But I mean, with all the good news behind Moderna, it's crazy to me to see such a low volume on this. And you guys, when you see volume this low, that's a good sign, because it's a lot of people just holding. Although it is going down, I think there's a lot of shorts in here that are trying to hold the stock down. And I really hope that those shorts just get squeezed out. And if those shorts successfully get squeezed out, then it will blast Moderna off to the areas that it belongs. I still believe, and you guys trust me, my money's on it, I think we'll see $100+ Moderna. $120 is getting a little wild as this goes on. But you guys, if they establish a vaccine, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see $120 Moderna and see it come up and test this upper line of resistance once again. Okay, so like I'm I'm still super bullish on Moderna. It's crazy to me that Moderna is still low and kind of dancing on this very lower line of support. But as long as it does that, I'm still bullish in it. If it breaks significantly below this, that's a different story. But I can't believe they will, especially with, like, the volume's so low right now. I'm just waiting for a big day. Let these shorts get squeezed out and shoot Moderna up to the space. Okay, so went a little long on this one. Sorry about that, but it was a very exciting week in the markets. There is a lot happening right now, and yeah, there's a lot to talk about. So I will talk to you guys more about a few more things, stuttering heavy right there, about a few more things in tomorrow's episode, obviously with the Waves Weekly. I'm excited about some of the topics I have ready for you there, so stay tuned for that. And as always, let me know in the comments down below if you guys have any questions in regard to today's topics. Let me know what you guys were excited about over the course of the week, some of your favorite trades, and yeah, look forward to talking to you guys soon. One more thing, you guys, if you want to know exactly how I'm trading these stocks, exactly what my positions are, check out my complete portfolio daily newsletter, first link in the description, exactly as it states, complete breakdown of all call options, all my put options, stock positions, cryptocurrencies. You guys know, especially after that rant, that I'm bullish on cryptocurrencies right now, so I do have a solid solid portfolio of cryptos in there as well. Along with that, I do send out a newsletter every trading day during market hours, talking to you guys about the trades I made that day, rationalizing my thoughts, and giving you guys my thoughts on the current market environment as well. Okay, so check that out if you're interested. I appreciate it if you do. If not, no worries at all. But until next time, you guys, always remember, take action, make waves. Peace. Later.